going to tell us and talk about your times when you were nursing, when you were training?
Yes.
When did you first want to become a nurse?
Well, when I was a small girl, really, I always wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to care for people. And not only that, I used to have all my dolls in little baskets. And if I hadn't got that, they were in cardboard boxes. And that was the first sort of ward that I ever came across. And I just always wanted to do it. And when I left school at 15 and then went to be a cadet nurse, which was 2 years. That was interesting, because you worked in every department in the hospital. You got to know everybody from the gardener to the matron, didn't you?
Yes, I did that.
Did you do that as well?
For 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just to fill in between 15 and 18, because they wouldn't take us till we were 18.
No, they wouldn't.
And
But we had to go and do some exams at college. I had to
yes, we did do some
biology
exams.
and-
Yeah, biology.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
and English, and maths, I think I got.
And we got a few pence for that. We got paid
But
very poor, yes.
I can't
It
remember,
kept us
yeah.
busy. And there was 6 of us at North Wing and 6 of us at South Wing, and then we swapped over halfway through the year. And it was a good idea, but I didn't always want to be a nurse. I wanted to be a mannequin. But when I left school, this new course just happened to appear. Somebody called Mr. Stonebanks, a local estate agent, dreamt it up, and it went on for many years, and it was very useful. But like all useful things in the NHS, they finished it. So there isn't one now, and there hasn't been one for a long time, but it did used to interest young girls who thought about being a nurse, but it just happened at the right time for me.
Yeah.
And then I started in 1950 to do my proper in 52 to do my proper training, and in those 2 years we worked in all the departments, and you got an eye-opener, and if you didn't like it, you didn't want to be a nurse after that. But it was good.
It was
You
good.
found it good.
I found it very good, yeah. You got to know everybody.
Yeah, you did.
And all the wards, and
Yes, your way about. And
especially the sewing room.
yes,
I hated.
sewing room. I didn't like
I
sewing
didn't like
room.
sewing
either.
room at all.
No. And we went to physio and X-ray and ran all the errands.
Yeah.
And sewing room, sewed buttons on for a
Yes,
time.
that's why I didn't
Yeah,
like it. I wanted to sew.
But so it was the same in Yorkshire as it
Yeah,
was in
exactly.
Bedfordshire. It's weird, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
I don't think it happened everywhere.
No, it didn't.
No, I don't think it did.
No, I think we had about a dozen, about 12 altogether. But yeah, it was good. And then we weren't new then when we went into PTS.
No.
You know,
We knew
the
what we
shock.
were- yes.
The shock of,
Yeah. We got measured for our new uniform,
that's right.
and it had to be so many inches from the floor.
And don't forget those horrible
And the
starch
hats
collars
and stiff collar.
that were sore.
It did make your neck sore.
Yeah,
Nice cuffs and a white pinny.
yeah.
And you changed your belt when you passed an exam. The good old days.
Yeah. Oh, well, the first year we didn't have costs, but the second year we got nice frilly costs to put them up here. And the third year we changed hats. We had these great big ones of student nurses and then small ones.
Ours was a long, straight thing that hung down your back. You
Oh,
got
right.
in the way, really. But when you had a different colour belt when you
Yes.
passed one exam.
Yeah, yeah. But it was hard, I mean, the ward sisters were so strict, and the staff nurses,
Yes.
and even the third year nurses. When you were a first year nurse,
We had to wait there till...
you were the lowest of the low.
No.
weren't you?
Even in the dining room, when matron, who was matron Shand then, was eating with us. It was just for the nursing staff, the dining room. And you couldn't, even if you'd got a date or whatever, you couldn't go till matron had finished her meal and she stood up and went, and then you could go, but you
That's
just
right.
could not go until she was finished.
It's changed a lot,
Yes,
hasn't it?
yes, it has.
It certainly has.
And the ward sisters were very strict in those days. They don't seem to be strict anymore, but we had to do as we were told, and we were never late for duty.
No.
There was a little chapel, they've knocked half of it down. We kicked up and there's a little bit left. But every morning at 7 o'clock, Matron Shan stood there and you went in for prayers, just a prayer. And she knew if you were missing in the mornings. And but all those nice things have gone now.
Yeah, we used to have prayers on the ward.
Did you?
Yeah, every day. And if you were late...
Oh, no, we didn't have them on the wall.
Yeah, in the office, in Sister's office, before she gave the report. And
No, we didn't.
And if you missed that, if you came in halfway through,
You're in trouble.
oh dear, you were in trouble. Big trouble. And the food.
Well,
It was basic, wasn't it?
I didn't grumble about
No,
it.
we didn't, because you were so
You're
glad to
hungry.
get... You were
That's
hungry.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, I can remember 3 months in PTS and then out on the wards, but you still lived in.
Yes, that was the best part.
It was, but I wanted to go and live at home.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and she turned me down twice, matron. She said, your mother wouldn't be able to cope with the shift work and feed me properly. Now then, can you imagine my mum saying that? So what happened was, she wrote to her again and said she would make sure, you know, that I was fed, whether it was on days, nights or whatever. And reluctantly, she let me go. I mean, I wasn't far away. It was ridiculous.
I wasn't far away either, because I only lived in Kempston, but I wanted to stay in the nursing
did you?
home with the girls. Yeah,
I
used to
wanted a
have
social life.
good fun. No, we just had good fun
Yeah, you did, I
and
agree.
talked about all your mistakes
Yes.
during the evening, if you'd got an evening off. But mostly we were working till 9. That was the
That's right.
shifts
That's it.
till 9, and so you didn't have a lot of social life. And pay packet, first pay packet was £10 a month.
Yes, I think I got about that. Not a lot more.
And I can remember buying a belt. I can't think of anything else, but I bought a belt. I've still got it all those years ago. And, but most of the money you had to spend on your nylons, they were called in those days, because you weren't allowed to go on duty. Well, you were despised if you went with ladders or whatever.
You couldn't.
And they were in short supply anyway, because it was just after the war.
That's right.
And if a patient said, you know, we'd like to buy you something, well, it was nylons, please, because we couldn't get them, or we couldn't afford them. And we had Nightingale wards, did you?
Yes. Yes.
Straight.
And if you were on take during the night, if you were on nights, you ended up and you had beds all down the middle of the ward.
Yes, you did.
You didn't turn patients
No,
away.
nobody was turned away.
They were in,
We
you know.
could get 3 down the down the centre
Yeah,
of the wards.
absolutely.
It's unheard of now, isn't it? They
Absolutely.
wouldn't even attempt it, would
No.
they? And that wasn't, you know, for disasters or anything.
No,
it was
it
just normal run of the mill,
Of
wasn't
course
it?
it was. I can remember when first night duty, that first shift, I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do in the middle of the night? And I was a first year nurse, and I'd got a second year. She was in charge, and off she went to dinner.
And
about
there you are
1
left
a.m.
with
on my own.
24 patients.
Some patients had humping up the bed, or they wanted a bedpan and you couldn't lift them up. But the Times, now today, they say we can't lift. I used to kneel on the bed,
Yeah,
get
you
my
had
arm.
to do it. You had to do it, yeah.
and up they came.
And all the
And they
men
were
went
happy.
berserk at night, especially when your senior had gone to lunch. I can remember them dancing on the table and all sorts of things. But you have to cope.
Yeah,
you
you
just
do.
coped.
Yeah, absolutely.
And night sister used to come in the middle of the night, so there was no time to sit down.
No, you daren't sit
No.
down. You never knew when they were going to come, the night sisters,
No.
through that door. And you'd have to do a round with them
Yeah.
and tell them every name and every
Well,
diagnosis.
you could make it up at night, but you couldn't make it up in the daytime when Miss Shand came round, because she came every day and she knew if you were telling stories, but you could a bit on the nights, because they were all hopefully asleep, but they didn't sleep very well.
They didn't, no. Victoria Ward. I actually went to see a relative last week, so for 2 or 3 days. So I had plenty time to look at these gorgeous tiles at Bedford.
Beautiful, aren't they?
Absolutely lovely.
Beautiful.
Really are lovely.
And you once said to me about the names above the door.
Yeah.
Well, I saw...
Is it there still?
Yes, it's still there.
Because when I was working there, I didn't see it. I've seen it since.
Yeah, it's lovely,
Because
isn't
you're
it?
too busy, you don't be looking around.
Yeah.
And yes, they are lovely. They're preserved forever.
Good.
Yeah, they
So
are
what happens
preserved
if it's
forever.
knocked down?
Because that was the children's ward. That's where I did my children's work down there. And they say that when you go to get to your old age, you go back to childhood. Well, that is the childhood now. That's the ward for them, isn't it? So they're appreciated, whoever sees them.
I think they are, yeah, because my uncle
beautiful.
said these are wonderful.
They are beautiful.
Yeah, they are lovely.
And people don't understand why Reginald Hart Ward is called Reginald Hart Ward. Well, when I was training, he was our head porter. And when he was a little boy, he lived in the street opposite. There was a row of cottages in Britannia Road. It's Britannia Road.
I remember
A row of
those,
cottages,
yeah.
and Reggie lived there. And Reggie had lost his eye when he was a child. I don't know the ins and outs of that. But he used to pop over the road and say, could he do things, could he do things? And then when he left school at 14 or 12, whatever they did in those days, he worked there. And he became head porter. And so he spent his whole life there. And he was such a wonderful man. So we asked if we could have the ward named after him. And we were granted it, which was a real big surprise. It was called Reginald Hart Ward. And when Matron Shand died, we wanted the ward called Barbara Shand Ward. But for some reason, I've never found out why, she just got Shand, which I thought was an insult, really. But we did get Shand anyway.
Yes, you did.
But the other names are benefactors of people that have given money over the years, like Robertson and Whitbread, the brewers, and
Yeah. What
all
about
the
Victoria? What about
local.
Victoria Ward?
Well, that was the Queen.
The Queen.
The Queen, yeah. And there was Russell Ward. Isn't there anymore, but that was after the Russell family.
Oh,
And then
of
there was
course.
Chartres Ward, and that's not there anymore. That's where we had the iron lung when Dr. Bauer's daughter had polio, if any of you can remember that far back. And that was called Chartres, and that was called Chartres because Matron Chartres had
Chartres, yeah.
been through there.
There's quite a lot of changes, aren't there?
Big, I don't even know my way around there now. It's so
No, neither do
different.
I.
So different. We did have an escape route on the roof for us at night to get to one ward to the other. It went from Whitbread, which is down the side of Britannia Road, to Russell Ward, and it was like a flat area of the roof, and we could nip along from those to there.
Oh.
Don't know whether it's there now. I don't know whether it's there now.
Oh dear. Did you ever do that?
Yes, yeah, I have. If you sent a message, it was quicker than going round the ward.
Yeah, of course it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I remember the uniforms. I trained in navy blue stripes, blue and white stripes, and I was looking forward to coming to Bedford when I qualified, because I had to move because, my husband's job. And what did I have to go in? Blue and white stripes?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the
staff nurse,
opposite.
yeah.
And I thought, I was quite put out.
And
about
then
that.
they provided us with white overalls, didn't they? A white uniform. That was horrible, wasn't it? We just looked like shop assistants,
yes,
didn't we?
And not a bit practical.
And nothing, no, it was a useless thing, that was. Richard Wells Ward, that was another benefactor, but I don't really know. It's not Wells, whether it's Wells the brewery.
I don't know
Could
about
be
that.
Wells.
I know I worked down there when I first came. It got everything down it. A theatre.
Yeah, little theatre, because it used to take the tonsils
That's
out
right,
down
that's
there.
what I did, assist
Yes,
in there.
used to take the tonsils out there.
And the eyes on there.
And eyes with Mr. Bentley.
And general surgery.
Mr. Bentley.
Mm.
Don't think we've sort of did any pioneering, although they've got the laser unit, haven't they now?
Yes.
That came fairly early, didn't it?
Yes,
Dr.
it
Mum
did.
got the laser
It did.
unit there. I don't know much about it, but it is doing good work.
It is.
But,
And the accident department has been rebuilt
since
it's
been built twice then
Yeah.
since I trained, because it used to be in Britannia Road
It did, didn't it?
Yeah, just a little green room I can remember.
But when I came in '64, they'd just built the original.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then that outgrew
that's
that.
down.
Now this is outgrown again, isn't
Yeah.
it, with the
Yeah.
number of people there are in Bedford.
Population's gone up tremendously.
And Bedford General Hospital had a league that was started in 1934, and everybody that trained there could pay a subscription. And then we had a reunion on the first Saturday in June, and it went on for years and years. It did stop in the wartime, but it continued after the war. And nurses from all over, there was a magazine printed, and they were invited to tea on this first Saturday in June. And it went on for years and years and years, but sadly nobody wants to do the organising, and it's all fallen apart. So that's another thing that's gone.
Yeah, it's like my hospital, that just
That's
happened the
sad,
same way.
really sad. But it was lovely to see all your old
Of
friends.
course it is.
And even if they were abroad, they used to send messages to us.
Do you remember any of the doctors?
Do I remember the doctors?
What about the relationship between nurses and doctors?
Oh, well, the relationships, when the consultant appeared to do his round, you ran if you were...
You went and hid in the sluice.
Yeah, you went, but you had to get your ward tidy. The wards were tidy anyway compared to how they are now, but it was extra tidy when the consultant was coming round. And Mr. Nash was my favourite, Gifford Nash, and the ward was named after his father, because there's still a Gifford Nash ward, and it was named after his father, who was a surgeon. And when Mr. Nash died, he was such a lovely gentleman. He'd got time to speak to everybody, and you didn't have to be extra stand to attention sort of thing when Mr. Nash came in. But when he died, was very sad, because he only had about a few months of retirement. He didn't have any retirement at all. It was sad, really sad. And nor did Reggie, the porter. He was taken ill, and he didn't have any retirement either. So he died about 66.
Did you ever work on the elderly ward?
The elderly,
Was there a special elderly ward?
not in those days, they were all mixed up, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
We didn't have a geriatrician.
No, we didn't. That was
And,
no.
that's something that's come over the years.
It has,
and
no.
the elderly were nursed amongst your others.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, if you got somebody coming in that had had a heart attack, whether they were 20 or 50, they were all on the same ward,
they
weren't
were.
they?
But Whitbread, I can remember Whitbread ward down the side of the road there. On this side was men that had got bladder troubles, or with their tubes and what have you, and on this side we'd got all the fractured legs, like motorbike accidents. So that was really, really, really not allowed, really. But when you think about it now, to get all that all
On one ward.
yeah, all in one ward.
So really, when you think about it,
Things have improved.
things
in some
have improved,
ways, yeah.
definitely.
But there's more
for the
infection,
patients.
isn't there?
Yeah.
There's still infection.
Yeah, thinking about that, how did you clean your ward? Let me just tell you. Every morning we used to, on these Nightingale wards, we had to get...
Pull the beds out.
Nurses had to do it. You unwind the beds,
Pull
pull
them
them right
out,
across.
yeah.
Tea leaves from the day before were sprinkled all the way down, and then we had to sweep. Do you remember that? Sweep it all down, because that kept the dust down. And the beds were back, and then the same at the other side. And
Every
all-
morning that.
Every single...
Before
We never had any
breakfast,
infection.
before breakfast,
Before
no.
breakfast,
You
yeah.
know, but once a week that had to be scrubbed.
Yeah, that's right.
On Chartres ward, I can remember, and a little elderly, well, she seemed elderly to me, perhaps she wasn't, but she was a patient had been in Bromham Hospital. We used to have a busload of Bromham Hospital patients come and help us do the cleaning. And Kathy, this was Kathy, and she was on her knees and she scrubbed the ward herself. Did one side when we pulled beds out, and then she did the other side every Monday morning. So he loved Monday mornings
Yeah.
when she was there doing her scrubbing. Just see them now doing the scrubbing, can't you?
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. It didn't do us any harm there, all that hard work, did it?
No. And
It
then
didn't.
they'd come round and check that everything was clean.
I think what I liked, visiting times, was very short.
Yes.
But when you finish sort of about 7ish, and visitors all gone. We didn't go home till 9.
No, we didn't
So
go
you-
to 9.
So you could sit with patients
But you
that
could
didn't
make
have
them,
any.
who hadn't had a visitor, you
And
could
talk to them, and
yeah.
we learned such a
Make
lot
them
about all these
comfortable.
people. It was
Yeah.
really nice.
It's amazing how many people don't have visitors. When I first started nursing, I thought everybody had got a relative.
But
I found out that look, there's hundreds of people who haven't got a relative.
That's right.
What about Christmas?
What about
Oh,
Christmas?
wonderful times,
Christmas
wonderful
was
times
wonderful,
at Christmas,
wasn't it?
lovely. We all worked. We didn't have any off duty. We worked
No.
Christmas Day and Boxing Day, and we decorated the wards, but not till Christmas Eve. And we hoped the patients were fit enough to help us. That's what, and quite often there was some men that could help us.
The ones that left.
And we really went to town, and we used to make special scenes. I can remember children's ward with the tiles being Teddy Bear's Picnic, and that was really pretty. And they did a theme to it. Gifford Nash, Sister Chambers on Gifford Nash used to make really big effort, make it beautiful. But it was all cleared away very quickly. It couldn't be there many minutes.
Boxing
that's right.
night it had gone.
Yeah.
We used to have the consultant who was on duty for the ward. Used to come and carve the turkey on the ward. Did you?
No, we didn't do it on the ward, but he used to come to the staff dining room and cut it
Oh,
there.
did he? No, he used
And
to
wait
carve
at
it
table. The
for the
doctors waited at
patients.
table.
Yeah.
And they didn't come to the ward.
No.
But Dr. Metcalf, George, he used to be dress up as Father Christmas and take presents round the wards, yeah.
Did you? We went round singing, did you? We had lanterns.
Yeah, we did
and all
lantern-
our cakes
Christmas
were turned
Eve,
inside
yeah,
out. Did
and-
you do that?
Yeah, we did that.
For the red
yeah,
bit
yeah.
showing?
They don't do it now.
Oh,
No.
they loved it, all
No.
the people
It was
that
lovely,
left. Yeah, it was nice.
Happy days.
Happy days, very
Yeah,
happy days,
happy
yeah.
days.
It was. I don't regret.
We've never got a penny, have we? Never got any money.
Never.
Never got any
Never
money.
got any money.
No.
No.
When did you start? When